Thank you for downloading this Brum Radio podcast. For more podcasts, visit brumradio.com.
And now, for your listening pleasure, it's the Brum Picture Show, brought to you by Brum Radio.
Hello and welcome to this very special episode of the Brum Picture Show, the film show brought to you by Birmingham-based community cinema collective Screen B14. Now, you may be able to tell by the timbre of my voice and indeed the general ambience that I am not in the Brum Radio studios this week, and I'm on my own. This is not an official episode of the Brum Picture Show because Nadine is off making a short film, the filmmaker that she is, and Rory, I think canonically on the show, is still recovering from being mown down in a hail of bullets by the LAPD. So I decided to scrape the bottom of the barrel, if you will, by once again going through the discarded tape on my editing room floor. That's right, some more content deemed too fascinating for broadcast at the time.
So I also have some other semi-news, also Ridley Scott adjacent.
Ooh,
and so this has come about after Joaquin Phoenix abruptly exited Todd Haynes' gay romance movie last week, just 5 days before production. So that's caused, quite a bit of hoo-ha in Hollywood.
Reverberations.
Because obviously that is, they'd made sets and everything. They were ready to go, and then loads of people are just out of work just because Joaquin Phoenix decided that he just didn't want to do it. And this was a project that Joaquin Phoenix had brought to the table himself. He was like, here you go, guys, I want to do this gay romance film.
And was pushing for it to be quite explicit.
Yeah, exactly. And then he was like, oh, don't actually want to do that. So
we don't know why. He hasn't given any statements or some... I won't speculate because I've heard different stories on why, but I imagine there's a lot of upset people.
Yeah, very angry
who are
people.
out of work right now.
Yeah, so obviously there's talk of legal action being taken against him, which is fair enough, I think. I mean, I think he's got the money, so he's probably just going to go. They'll threaten him, and then they'll settle, and then there you go, that'll be it. But I think also a similar thing happened with Bruce Willis, and I can't remember what he actually dropped out of, but
Kim Basinger as well got sued.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
Bruce Willis. Yeah, I remember that actually because he ended up having to do like 5 films for Disney.
Yeah. So he wound up, part of it was the Sixth Sense actually came out of that, and Armageddon.
Yeah, so he did all right.
Did all right. So I don't know whether now Joaquin Phoenix is going to be contractually obligated to make some films that he might not necessarily have wanted to make.
Maybe the R-rated Bambi.
Yeah, maybe. I'd like that. Yeah. But I'd like to see Joaquin Phoenix in something that he doesn't want to be in.
I feel that's every Joaquin Phoenix film, isn't it?
That's true.
I mean, if we're going back to Ridley Scott, Ridley said he had to kind of, convince him to be Napoleon, similarly.
Well, because that's actually the original story that I was about to talk about just then. Apparently, Joaquin Phoenix threatened to leave Ridley Scott's Napoleon unless Paul Thomas Anderson was brought in to do rewrites. So that's interesting. And apparently he was placated, and then he stayed on board. So I don't know whether that means he was placated because Paul Thomas Anderson actually did come and do these rewrites, or they just placated him in some other way.
I think Ridley just had a word with him.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think Todd Haynes should have just rung up Ridley and said, what did you say to him?
Yeah.
But I don't think people realise, obviously I don't know Joaquin personally, but he's a very, I think he's got really bad anxiety or something, because when they were recording Gladiator, he didn't want to come out his trailer, and I think they got him drunk in the end, actually. He just thought he was he said, I'm a terrible actor, I shouldn't be in this film. And Russell Crowe and Ridley, I think, had to sort of, have words with him. But I think, I don't know. Again, I don't want to speculate why he dropped out. So close to filming, but you know, he's got some issues. Let's not be too mean. We don't know why he
exactly.
That might have good reason.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, yeah, he's definitely, I mean, the man grew up in a cult, so it's no wonder that he's a little bit of an interesting character. But imagine having Ridley Scott and Russell Crowe telling you off.
Well, they didn't. They gently poured alcohol down his throat and told him he was great.
I can't imagine Ridley Scott being gentle, though. Come on, Joaquin, get out that trailer now and make a film.
He's very gentle, apparently, according to Lady Gaga.
Come on, Joaquin.
He's an actor coaxer.
Mm-hmm.
Sigourney Weaver has been talking to Deadline about the possibility of returning as Ripley. Because it's the Venice Film Festival.
Yes.
Sigourney Weaver is receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award.
Oh.
She's worked with Paul Schrader, and she actually gave him his Lifetime Achievement Award at the Venice Film Festival 2 years ago.
Oh.
And now she's receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award, and so she was talking to Deadline about this. And they've got a quote from her about Ripley, and she says, "I feel like she's never far away from me, but..." There is a but. On the other hand, I have yet to read a script that said you have got to do this.
Oh.
So she says she's open, but, you know, the material's got to be right.
Okay.
And she did say she hasn't seen the most recent one, and she wasn't asked to cameo, but she wishes them all the best.
Well, yeah.
So, and when asked, you know, is there a demand for her to return, she says, I don't really sit around and think about it, which I think is fair enough.
Yeah, I suppose you wouldn't really. How would I don't think a cameo in Romulus would work, would it? She'd be floating through space.
Technically, Ripley is in Romulus.
Oh?
The ship is apparently docked. It's one of look it up.
Right, okay.
But apparently, excuse me, I haven't memorised the name of the ship she was on.
What, the Nostromo? Or the one she escaped on?
I think it might be the one she escaped on. But anyway, she's there in spirit.
Okay.
You just don't literally see her, but it has been confirmed by some VFX dudes.
Oh, right. So that means Jones the cat is also there.
Yes, I guess so.
Oh, well, that's good. All right.
That's good.
Well, that's good. I mean, sure. More Ripley, fine, whatever.
Yeah,
but
whatever.
I think that ship sailed, really. It's like,
well, she doesn't sit around thinking about it.
Because I think,
Ship sailed, literally.
But yeah, people just want aliens, don't they?
I mean, I wouldn't mind. It'd be nice if Romulus intersects with the actual alien film. Like if there's I imagine there will be a sequel to Romulus.
It's done well enough, yeah.
Yeah, so
got that to look forward to, I guess.
You sound as enthusiastic as Sigourney Weaver there, Paul.
I know. And also, actually, in semi-related news, apparently Dan Trachtenberg's new Predator film has started filming. So that is definitely happening. And that means that we are inevitably going to have to do a 3-hour deep dive into the Predator franchise at some point. So, yeah, look forward to that, guys.
We can finally do the Alien versus Predator films that we didn't shoehorn into the 2-hour podcast.
Yes, because, of course, they are canon to the Predator franchise. And so, yeah, there we go. Look forward to that, guys.
Woo.
That'll be coming next year if we're still here.
Oh, let's not make promises.
Yeah, let's not. That might never happen. Anyway, well, there we go.
If you would like us to do a Predator deep dive in honor of a new Predator film,
then keep it to yourself. We'll do what we like, all right?
Okay.
Don't you tell us what to do, listeners.
I got news about a film that isn't happening.
Oh, well, that's my favourite kind of news.
Yeah, a film that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
So a while ago, maybe you have fallen for this as well, but my sister sent me a screenshot of something saying like Goonies 2 is happening, original cast returning, Steven Spielberg directing, which is pretty amazing since he didn't even direct the first one.
Yes.
But so I was like, wow. And I was thinking, yeah, Sean Astin, Ke Huy Quan, Josh Brolin. Yeah, I think we're ready. Corey Feldman, my first ever crush. I was ready for it.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, Variety has reported that there is no plans to shoot Goonies 2 next summer with the original cast.
Okay.
There's no script. Nobody's attached. Spielberg is not directing. It's not real. But what they have said is, what is real? Check your registration and vote. So I don't know if it was some kind of ploy just to get Americans out to vote. But
how's that going to work?
I don't know. That was just a comment
Okay.
made.
Makes me not want to
mean-
vote.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So that's not happening.
Okay.
But maybe,
Yeah.
you know, if enough people get excited, because people were excited about it,
Yeah.
maybe it's like one of those things that we can make happen.
Yeah.
Like how we made Sonic, like to change his face, or
Oh, yeah.
Snakes on a Plane, how we made Samuel L. Jackson say the line in the... I think we could come together
Yeah.
as a community and get this, you know, fast-tracked.
Okay.
But
Oh.
yeah, let's all just make up ideas for films we'd like to see,
Yeah.
and then maybe other people will make them and we'll make no money off of it.
Gigolos in space.
Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
American
You heard it here,
Gigolos in
guys. There
space.
is a script.
Yeah.
A Steven Spielberg is attached.
Wow.
Oh,
And Corey Feldman stars in it.
The version of American Gigolo with Jacob Elordi.
Oh, yeah. That was interesting.
So if you tuned into our last episode, we discussed the filmmaker Paul Schrader,
Mm-hmm.
and he recently discussed in an interview that Jacob Elordi is the guy he would have cast in American Gigolo 40 years ago if Jacob Elordi had existed 40 years ago, which he didn't.
No,
But if he had,
it hadn't been invented yet.
if Jacob Elordi had been invented
Yeah.
and had auditioned against Richard Gere,
Mm-hmm.
Jacob Elordi would have won. So that's like a completely different timeline. Imagine a world where Richard Gere's star-making performance in American Gigolo didn't happen,
Yeah.
but Jacob Elordi existed, possibly through some kind of time travel, I don't know, or some black
Yeah.
magic, I'm not sure.
Richard Gere could just be working in Walmart or something now.
Yeah, and Jacob Elordi would have been, you know, a massive star.
Yeah.
And who knows, and he'd be 40 years older than he is now. But anyway, interesting, because Paul Schrader has worked with both of them actually in a recent film. So I think that's why, I mean, it's a weird thing to say, but he did a film recently, Oh Canada,
Yeah.
with Richard Gere and Jacob Elordi. So I guess that's what got him onto that interesting train of thought. Why don't you email us in at pictureshow@brumradio.com and tell us which classic star-making performances you would like to recast with Jacob Elordi.
Yeah.
We'd love to know that.
Please do let us know.
So we've talked about Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey before,
Oh, yeah.
and the Poohniverse.
Yeah.
So if you don't know, it's a kind of horror take on the Winnie the Pooh story, but done as like a slasher movie.
Yeah.
And they want to do like a whole universe of these like characters. Well, Pinocchio slasher film from the team that bought you Blood and Honey have cast veteran horror stars Robert Englund, so that's Freddy Krueger, and Richard Brake.
Who's Richard Brake?
I don't know,
But he's a veteran.
but he's a veteran.
It's a big deal.
Yeah, according to Variety.
Okay.
So if you know who Richard Brake is, do write in and let us know.
Because we're not going to do a cursory Google or anything.
No, can't bother. Do you want me to Google him?
Just leave it like that.
But-
Sorry,
but-
Richard Brake.
I was excited by Robert Englund because I actually spent my birthday with Freddy Krueger. I went to see
Oh, you did, yeah.
the 40th anniversary of A Nightmare on Elm Street with some children.
This was before you went to the club.
Yeah.
Okay,
and the
cool.
children thought it was hilarious.
What?
Well, they weren't children. Weirdly, some guys, some like adult men were like swearing and left after the first kill, and I found that hilarious.
Right.
I think it was too much for them.
They were just too scared.
Yeah.
Well, at least they weren't
Yeah.
mocking the film.
Yeah. It was packed. People
Mm.
were loving it. I think it's a great film. So, yeah. That was a fun way to spend my birthday.
Oh, very good. And then you went to the club.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, that's excellent movie news. Nadine?
Yeah, so...
Got anything else, Nadine?
Yeah, just one last piece of news.
Yeah.
So there's sources, according to Screen Rant, I don't know who these sources are, but there are sources.
Ketchup and mayonnaise.
Yeah, a different kind of sauce. But they report that a new Predator movie, an animated Predator movie, is going to be made. And it's an anthology telling 3 separate stories of predators. And it's going to be set in multiple different time periods.
Yeah.
And it might cover, potentially, pirates, samurai, and some third thing that they haven't thought of yet. But,
what could the third thing be?
I don't know.
Answers on a postcard.
Exactly. Well, what would you like it to be?
So what was it? Pirates, samurai,
Cowboys?
Ewoks.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Predator versus Ewoks.
Ewoks would win, though.
They can't do cowboys. They've already got Cowboys versus Aliens. That exists.
Yeah, but this is Predator.
Predator's an alien.
But it's interesting because when the Prey film came out, which is Predator versus Native Americans, I remember reading this post, and it was just somebody, I don't know who wrote it, somebody off the internet was like, they should do this with samurai. And they should get the actor from Shogun, whose name I cannot remember off the top of my head, but he should be in it.
Yeah.
And they had this whole idea, and it sounded amazing. I was like, yeah, they should do that. And it looks like that they finally read the comments on the internet and are like, let's do that. Let's just put Predator in different time periods.
Yeah, that's what it's come to, isn't it?
So basically, the internet has written this.
Yeah, producers are just scrolling through comments and forums and going, oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Let's do that.
Oh, that's a good meme. Let's put that in the Spider-Man film.
Sigh. Well, there we go. Well, I'm interested to see what that would be. I mean, to be fair, I like the sound of Predators and Pirates. Why not?
Predator versus Samurai, I'm here for. Predator versus Romans.
Yeah.
Gladiator
That'll
3
be Gladiator
plus,
3. Aliens versus Predator versus
Godfather
2. Anyway, thanks for that, Nadine. Denis Villeneuve says, I don't care that Quentin Tarantino refuses to watch Dune.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because,
Quentin Tarantino was talking on the Bret Easton Ellis podcast, which is cool.
Bret Easton Ellis wrote American Psycho, didn't he?
He did, yes. I should probably mention that, which is getting a remake.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so that's some news as well.
Who's remaking it? Do you remember that?
It's Luca Guadagnino.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
that's news,
that is news.
It?
I guess that broke in between news cycles again for the Brum Picture Show. But that's probably bigger news than something Denis Villeneuve reacted. Luca Guadagnino is going to be doing American Psycho. Who is going to be Patrick Bateman?
Timothy Chalamet.
Undoubtedly.
And Gen Z will love it.
Yeah, no, I'd like to see that.
Zendaya will be his girlfriend.
Yeah, although I would say it would be an unnecessary remake, but if Luca's involved, then I'm all right with that.
I know I've got mixed feelings. I don't want them to remake it.
Yeah.
I really like, Mary Heron's original version of it.
Yeah.
I do like Luca Guadagnino. I'd just go make something original,
there we go. Yeah.
Challengers or Queer or something else.
Yeah. Well, Queer's based on a book, so.
Yeah, but it's original film.
Yeah.
But I'm not super enthusiastic about it, but I suppose if someone's got to do it.
No. I'm intrigued. But anyway, we digress. So, Quentin Tarantino was on Bret Easton Ellis' podcast, and he said he was asked about whether he'd seen Dune Part 2 or indeed Dune Part 1. And he said, I saw David Lynch's Dune a couple of times. I don't need to see that story again. I don't need to see spice worms, and I don't need to see a movie that says the word spice so dramatically. So,
I think he's got a fair point in that we were just complaining about all the remakes, right? And if we don't go and watch the remakes, then they won't make the remakes. Having said that, many people will say that Denis Villeneuve's version of the Dune films is vastly superior to David Lynch's.
And even David Lynch would say that. In fact, especially David Lynch would say that.
But it hasn't got Patrick Stewart running into battle with a pug.
Exactly.
So
what are you playing at, Denis? But anyway, Denis was asked about Quentin's comments at some Q&A that he was doing, and he said, I don't care. It's true. I agree with him that I don't like this idea of recycling and bringing back old ideas, but where I disagree is that what I did was not a remake. It's an adaptation of the book. I see this as an original. And
Reimagining.
Sure. Yes, a reimagining. So there you go. So lots of celebrities talking about each other in the news this week.
That's real news, isn't it? Not like any of these wars
No.
or other, climate change.
Yeah.
Or I don't even know what's going on
No.
because I'm so focused on celebrities.
Yeah.
Talking about other celebrities.
Exactly.
That I'm not even aware.
Very quickly, some news stories that I thought might amuse you, in particular, Nadine,
Interesting.
or please you. You like Scream.
Yeah, I love Scream.
Matthew Lillard's coming back,
Woo!
which is interesting. Yeah, he is. So, I'm wondering how that's going to work, because if you've seen the original Scream, it doesn't really leave much room for his character returning. But having said that, Skeet Ulrich was in the last Scream film, but as a flashback, a ghostly flashback. So I don't know if he's just coming back for another one of those, or whether he actually will be coming back from the dead.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel a bit mixed because I love the original Scream, less and less so the sequels as they went along. But the first one, I especially loved. But this has been controversial. The last film, Neve Campbell wasn't involved. She was in all the original ones as the lead. She wasn't given, the pay she felt she deserved.
Yeah.
And then they dropped another cast member, Melissa Barrera, for her comments. She made some political comments about Palestine.
Yeah.
She was dropped from the lineup. And then Jenna Ortega became too busy.
Yeah.
And she does work on Wednesday, so I'm sure that does.
She only works on Wednesdays. That's I can understand.
I like it. No, she has been working on Wednesday, but I don't know whether it was out of solidarity that she stepped down. So, but then Neve Campbell's back, and so it's mixed. I've got mixed feelings about it. But to be fair, I liked the first reboot or I don't know what it was, a rehash.
Yeah, soft reboot.
The one afterwards, didn't care for it.
Yeah.
So,
nor did I.
I'm mixed feelings about this one.
Well, that's the interesting thing about the franchise, isn't it? Because they were clearly trying to start afresh with this new cast, and then Neve Campbell not being the last one, that was them just going, okay, we're starting afresh. And then obviously they've had some problems with this new cast, and now they've been like, we better get the old people back and let's just go back to that. So we got Neve Campbell and Matthew Lillard coming back. So
I have to say that is the one thing. So it's difficult, the numbering of it, because we had Screams 1 to 4, then we had Scream again.
Yeah.
And then Scream 6.
Yeah.
So the second Scream, which is Scream 5.
It makes about as much sense as the naming convention. Yeah.
But the soft reboot, while I did enjoy it, I did feel that the new cast just didn't have the weight that the old cast had. There was something, they didn't have the Scream presence. Having said that, since that film's come out, Jenna Ortega's blown up, Mikey Madison's blown up recently.
It's unfortunate.
In a good way.
Okay.
And maybe they'd sort of grown into their roles a bit more as leads, whereas they were kind of up and coming. Although, Mikey Madison won't be returning, I imagine. I don't know.
No.
But I don't know if the reboot thing really worked.
No. As a quick aside, they're remaking The Faculty. Do you remember that, the Robert Rodriguez film?
There's a new Final Destination coming out.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to that actually.
Yeah,
that's just a good. And also there's a new Eyes Wide Shut kind of.
Oh, what?
Yeah, well, someone else has adopted the novella that Eyes Wide Shut was based on.
Adapted.
Adapted. Sorry. So yeah, that's happening, and it's already made, and some distributors picked it up, so that's nice.
Interesting.
There we go.
What are vampires afraid of?
Yeah.
Werewolves. That's what they're afraid of. But yeah.
But worst they can do. I mean, werewolves can't operate stakes. They can't use.
They can when
bullets.
they're in their were form, just not when they're in their wolf form.
What?
They're not werewolves. Were you should know this as a Stuart Lee fan.
Yeah.
Because he's doing a
yeah,
thing
yeah.
called Stuart Lee versus the Man Wolf, which
Yeah,
I
yeah.
can't wait to see. But a were is just the old English word for man,
Ah,
Okay.
and a wolf is a wolf.
there we go.
And most of the time,
Mm-hmm.
they're in their were form. They're men
That's true.
or women.
All women. Yeah.
Yeah, people, humans. But when the full moon comes out, depending on the version of that myth that you're watching, but
Yeah.
they only turn into werewolves when the moon's out. They're not they're not wolves all the time.
Yeah, I think werewolves would probably take vampires during the day
Yeah,
Yeah. 'Cause
because
exactly.
they could just creep in and kill the vampire when you're sleeping. But
Unless it's
Yeah.
a sparkly vampire.
unless it's a sparkly one, then they're in
And then
serious
they're
trouble.
Yeah, why do we like vampires so much? Is it because we yearn for eternal life
I think that's part of it,
and sucking blood?
No, well, I think that's the negative side because you can't have everything, can you?
Mm.
So, yes, you have eternal life and eternal youth, but on the downside, you've got to kill people
Well, I think-
to get
Mm.
that.
I
Or
think
the plus side.
Yeah,
Well, I don't know about that.
so they sort of appeal to our sort of kind of dark, seedy desires, though. don't
Mhm.
they?
Yeah, they're very seductive. And I think, like I said, a lot of vampires, there's a lot of kind of subversive kind of sexuality. We've got these queer-coded vampires, and I think that's very attractive to people because these vampires are like these kind of others and these alternative people that live, a different life, a nocturnal life that the rest of society isn't on board with. But there are many versions that are quite sympathetic to the vampires and actually give them consciences and souls even and ethics. So it's interesting. It's very malleable, I think. So the basics are there. So there always seems to be that blood, feasting on blood and having fangs and having some kind of superpowers, but the rest seems to be up for grabs.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not many vampires where blood doesn't enter into it, is it?
Psychic vampires.
Oh, yeah. Energy vampires.
And they haven't brought. They haven't brought back the running water thing, have they?
No. They
I'd
never
love to
will.
see Morbius just
Yeah,
you know,
Like put a
fighting all
tap
these
on.
bad guys, and then suddenly, yeah.
I suppose in the old days there wasn't a lot of running water, was it? We didn't all have taps.
Yeah,
in
they
the
didn't
house.
have rivers back then.
No,
Or-
but I mean,
taps, yeah.
that's what I'm saying. It wasn't like
Yeah.
everybody had a tap in their house.
Yeah.
So it was not as easy
I suppose.
in the past. But
Yeah.
nowadays, maybe that's why we
That's
don't
why
see
there's no
any
vampires.
Yeah.
That's what. There's loads of bats and no vampires.
Yeah. It all makes sense now.
There you go. That's that settled.
Yeah.
Did you know that a very early true crime film is the reason that we now have that disclaimer that films are entirely works of fiction?
Or based on a
any,
true story.
Yeah, or any similarity between people living or dead is entirely coincidental,
Yeah.
even if it is based on a true story. And that comes from a 1932, I believe, adaptation of the murder of Rasputin.
Right. Okay.
Did you know about this?
No.
So apparently, Rasputin, Rasputin,
Yeah,
he
big
was like
Russian guy.
big Russian guy. He was seen to have too much influence over the Tsar or whatever.
Yeah.
So he was killed by a prince, and it took a long time to kill him. Supposedly they fed him cyanide, they shot him, they drowned him, and he just kept going because he's Rasputin.
Yeah.
Who knows? But how much of that is true? But anyway,
Probably none of it.
yeah, none of it.
Cyanide typically does the job.
But he
doesn't it?
did die.
Yeah.
Eventually, he did die. And then there was, in 1932, there was a film made by MGM called Rasputin and the Empress, which depicted his murder. Now, the prince who killed Rasputin, he wasn't in prison. He was actually just exiled. So he saw this film in 1932.
I went, that's not how I did it.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much he was offended by it and decided that he was going to sue MGM for it. But of course, he realized that he was basically admitting to murder, and he didn't really have a strong libel case if you're going about, admitting murder as your main point.
Yeah.
But instead, he managed to make the lawsuit about the depiction of his wife, who in the film was shown to be assaulted by Rasputin. but in real life they never met. So he was like, you are defaming my wife, because that is clearly meant to be my wife in the film.
He didn't do anything to my wife. I just killed him for the fun of it.
Exactly. And get this, the lawsuit was successful.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so MGM had to pay out 25 grand and take the film out of circulation for decades, and they deleted the offending scene. So then this led to the famous disclaimer that films are fictional, even if they're based on true stories, because Raging Bull has this disclaimer, for instance.
What's the bit I never got? The entirely by coincidence bit. What is that?
Yeah. Similarity to people living or dead is entirely coincidental.
That's just never the case, is it?
Well, no, but legally, that's the point. That's the point. Films could just say that it's not based on real events, even if it was.
Right.
So, in a way, that is actually...
But what a coincidence that would be.
Well, yeah, exactly. But legally, they are covered. So that's the thing. That's what's interesting, because in many ways, this disclaimer has allowed films to become more slanderous, because to your average viewer, they're just going to go, all right, that's the true story, that's how it happened. But legally, they're covered. But to the actual people watching it, they're just going to assume that
kind of opened the door for exploitation.
Yes.
On a much sort of grander level.
Yeah, exactly. So thanks, Rasputin. I went to see Marching Powder, which is, of course, the new comedy starring Danny Dyer.
You were so excited.
I was.
You thought you were going to love it.
I thought I was going to love it because I love Danny Dyer, and the trailer just made it seem like this was just going to be really, really fun. Danny Dyer being a geezer. But then I hated it. I really hated it. So it's from director Nick Love, director of The Football Factory, which I've never seen. The concept of it never really appealed to me. I'm not a football guy, guys, and I think that was the main problem why I did not enjoy this film at all, because this is about football people being very football-y. So it stars Danny Dyer as a middle-aged football hooligan in a state of arrested development. He gets caught up in some hooliganism and is given 6 weeks by a judge to turn his life around or go to prison. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Danny Dyer, so I was looking forward to this, but I really, really didn't care for it at all. And I think my main problem with it is I had no idea exactly what it was trying to say. Is it a redemption story, or is it a celebration of nihilism? I genuinely couldn't work out whether it was celebrating Danny Dyer's lifestyle or criticizing it, and it seemed to wildly oscillate between. And I was just like, I don't know, who is this for? Is this insulting its target audience or affirming it? I don't know. So, one moment it really seems to embrace Dyer's lifestyle, and it seems to be taking the side of him. There's loads of lines just mocking hipsters and that kind of stuff, and just talking about just things that lads don't like. It's just like, geezers, we don't like all this poncy business. And then the next minute it turns into a Richard Curtis film, and it just keeps veering from one to the other. And I was just like, what is this? And I think it just should have embraced one side or the other, rather than straddling this tonal fence, because it really does get cheesy in some bits, and then that's completely just offset by all this proper celebration of geezer culture. And I'm just I didn't guess what it was trying to say at all. And one of the main mistakes of it is basically at the end, and kind of throughout, it does this kind of train spotting thing where it's basically Danny Dyer just doing a voiceover and just kind of just reading out his manifesto. And I think the problem is, evoking train spotting is a massive error, because it just makes you realize how much better that film was at tackling moral nuance. Because I don't think the train spotting, it's not mocking addicts, but it's still kind of, there are still some funny moments. Crucially, train spotting wasn't trying to be a comedy. It was a drama with funny moments that had sympathy for its characters, but also criticize them at the same time. It was empathetic and human, but here you don't get that at all. So yeah, I wasn't sure. I found a lot of it just kind of just offensive, and also just cringeworthy as well. I just hated hanging out with these characters. And even though I love Danny Dyer, he remains a charismatic screen presence. But yeah, this film would have been unwatchable without him. And I genuinely considered walking out at one point. So little I was enjoying spending time with the characters. That's the thing, you're just forced to hang out with football hooligans for the whole film. and then they don't even get their comeuppance.
Sounds like my experience watching Anora.
Exactly. I was just like, I cannot tolerate this.
Like, I don't want to hang out with an oligarch all day.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to hang out with these football hooligans all day. And it's just like, yeah. So, yeah, I just thought it was a mess. And it's, no. Sorry, Danny Dyer.
No. That's your response.
Yeah.
No.
Nah.
No brums up, just a no.
Just no. No. So, yeah, disappointing. I wanted to think about forgotten films, basically, because recently I've been on Amazon Prime Video, and I found lots of films with big stars and stuff that I've not heard of. And I just think, there's certain films that just do not have that kind of lasting cultural memory for people. Doesn't stay.
They should do.
But they should do. And an example of this that I'd like to talk about very quickly now is a film called River's Edge, from 1986. It's a pitch black comedy, kind of like Heathers, but possibly even darker than that. And it's basically about a bunch of high school teenagers. One of them murders a girl and leaves her body just out by the river's edge, and then invites his friends to just come and look at the corpse. Like, he doesn't really kind of accept what he's done is a really terrible thing. And interestingly, his friends are kind of a bit like, oh, right, that's crazy, man. That's crazy. It's a corpse. And this is actually based on a true story, apparently, from the late 80s where this happened. And it took days for anyone to actually call the police. And it is such an interesting film. In a way, I think it's a good companion piece to adolescence, which, of course, has been big in the news. Huge phenomenon, the miniseries on Netflix. And I thought it's similar because they're both things are about a teenager's warped perspective of morality and death. Like, in both cases, they don't really acknowledge like the severity of what they've actually done, or seem to have a firm grasp of what death actually means. And it's just such an odd one. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. And what's great about it as well, it's like 1986, but it seems very early 90s. Like, everyone's got the flannel shirts and everything, and like you would think it was from a few years later.
Very grungy.
Yeah, very grungy. And it's got this heavy rock soundtrack, so there's loads of Slayer in it and stuff like that. And yeah, but the most importantly of all, the performances. So we've got a very young Keanu Reeves in one of the lead roles, and then we have Crispin Glover giving one of the most deranged performances I've ever seen. I mean, he's rarely
quite deranged.
Yeah, he's rarely, he rarely holds back, but still in this one, he's going all out. So much so that it makes Dennis Hopper's performance look restrained, because Dennis Hopper is once again, so this is like same year as Blue Velvet, so this is kind of him
his comeback.
His comeback. And it's in many ways this is kind of a nice companion piece to Blue Velvet, and it's about the darkness going on and in suburbia, and all the different small town characters and whatnot. So yeah, I just wanted to mention it because I'd never heard of it in my life, and it's got some great people in it, and I just thought it was absolutely fantastic. So that's River's Edge.
Highly recommended.
On Amazon Prime. So yes, there we go. So that'll do for the reviews section. Oh yeah, and do email us in if you've got any other films that you found on streaming that you're like, oh, I didn't know that exists, and it's got such and such in.
Forgotten classics,
yes. So email us at pictureshow@brumradio.com.
Well, there you go. I hope you enjoyed that unaired content from the Brum Picture Show. Goodbye.
You have been listening to The Brum Picture Show, a Screen B14 production for Brum Radio. Tune in next time for more film fun, and don't forget to email us at pictureshow@brumradio.com. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Well,
Anyway.
like Rory, I also have a side hustle going on.
Oh yeah.
So I've got an announcement to make. As you may know, I'm a critically acclaimed, award-winning filmmaker.
Yeah.
I've garnered a lot of prestige over the years with my short films.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, prestige doesn't pay the rent. 70% of UK production companies are on the verge of collapse. 8% of creatives are from working class backgrounds. So it's a closed shop, basically.
Yeah.
So I've been thinking, like, what else can I do? What other talents do I have that I can monetize? And I've realised I'm really good at rapping very, very fast.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting you to say that.
Yeah, I've got a rap name, because you got to have a rap name.
What's your rap name?
Nagon.
Nagon.
Nagon, like Raygun.
Oh, but with an N.
Yeah. Because she was that woman that got to the Olympics. The Australian
the break dancer, right?
Yeah. So I was like inspired by her story.
Yeah.
Because it's like, wow, imagine finding out in your like 40s that you're Olympic level breakdancer. And I'm nearly 40. And I was like, you know, what talent do I have? And I've realised, you know, I can basically rap Eminem's fastest rap at 90% speed. I mean, I've only been doing it for 2 afternoons.
Yeah.
But I reckon if I keep working on it, I can get there.
Okay.
I know you mentioned Joaquin Phoenix before.
Yeah. This
isn't like a Joaquin Phoenix thing. I'm not making a documentary out of this, like a mockumentary. This is real.
Can I make a documentary out of it?
I mean, are you going to pay me?
No.
But yeah, anyway, I'm like I said, I've been doing it for 2 afternoons. It's something that I've started doing over the weekend.
Yeah.
I'm already at 90% of Eminem's speed. I reckon I could get into the Guinness Book of Records with this.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to keep working on it. But I thought this would be a great way to soft launch my rap career.
It's better than an escort.
Okay.
I mean, yeah.
Are you going to rap for us?
You want me to rap for you now?
If you want. I mean, I figured that's what you were leading up to.
I'm not really prepared for. I don't have my lyrics on me. I can do. I don't know. Can you clear the copyright for this?
Probably not. Well,
can you do it for like 3 seconds?
Maybe. Well, on the radio you can do what you like, but yeah, let's see.
Some of them use some of them. What I got to do to get it through you? I'm you innovate and made a rub. So anything you say is we can share up for me and it'll glue to you.
Wow.
See.
Well, there we go.
See, can I just say the shocked impressions and the expressions, I should say, the shocked expressions on their faces when I spit that fire, because I could see they weren't taking me seriously. Because I'm a woman, because I'm nearly 40, because this is a new thing that I've discovered, and they were like, come on. And then I just did that and just like really, I could tell I just blew your mind.
We're taking you seriously now.
Yeah, the world will take me seriously now.
Oh, they will. All right, okay, as long as this doesn't affect the show.
No doubt.
Okay, this is some shocking news all around. Anything else to add?
Have you got any side hustles, Paul?
I should have made one up. Yeah.
You could beatbox.
I could.
And then you two could come together as the...
Well, you could maybe...
Oh, go rap. Go Nadine.
Yeah, Paul is in that.
Oh, there we go.
I mean, I can't freestyle.
No,
I haven't learned freestyling yet. I haven't learned freestyle. That's next weekend.
All right. Good stuff. Okay. Are you finished with your statement?
Yeah.
Are you finished with your statement?
It wasn't a statement. It was a general commentary.
Okay. General, but you're finished?
Yeah.
All right. Should we talk about some films?
Yeah, go on then.
All right, cool.
We must.
Very good.
Thank you for listening to this Brum Radio podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us on your podcast app.